Jeremy Swayman, of all goaltenders. I felt insulted. How dare they just not offer me all the money in the world? When I went to arbitration, they hurt my feelings. And for you to perform like this? Shut the up. The Boston Bruins are a terrible hockey team. Terrible to watch. Blow leads. Get absolutely destroyed. I'm going to go kind of on a rant here and kind of go into the problems that I feel like this team has. Now, going into, I'll even say last season, I expected a drop-off. It's expected to see a little bit of drop-off. But last year, they had a very good year, all things considered. And this year, even though they're still in the mix in the Atlantic Division, when I'm watching the team on ice, they look slow. They just overall does not look like a very good or well-rounded hockey team. And I think their record actually is better than the actual product on the ice that I am taking in. And there's a lot of complaints to go around. I mean, even their star in David Pastrnak, his puck management and his terrible turnovers, especially early in the season, were absolutely horrific. Now, yes, he's going to be their best offensive player. He is a guy that has the potential to score 40 goals. But, yeah, just wasn't really killing it. And then Brad Marchand, he started off slow, but to be fair to Marchand, he's picked it up. But guys that had solid years last year, like Pavel Zacha, Charlie Coyle, terrible this season. I actually want to go into the whole roster. And then I also want to talk about Jeremy Swayman, who signs that big contract and suddenly can't stop a beach ball. So let's go into the roster right now and see who's producing on this team. David Pastrnak, 19 games, 8 goals, 9 assists for 17 points. Not bad point production. That's not bad. Second leading point getter on this team would be Brad Marchand, 5 goals, 8 assists for 13 points. At his age, for what he should be giving you, that's completely fine. But Elias Lindholm, the guy you brought in to be the number one center, 19 games played, 2 goals, 7 assists for 9 points. And I'm going to go on a rant here because I had the same thing with Lindholm and Zadorov. I was fine with the signings. I understood that was probably the best you could get, right? With Lindholm especially. But you're paying him so much money per year. He's not worth it. Lindholm's not worth it. He's one of these players. You know what? Screw it. I'll click right on it. He's one of these players throughout his career. He's been a solid player, but is he worth the massive cap hit of $7.75 million right here? No. No way. Highest point total in season, it was 82. In 21-22 season, 64 points, 47, 54, 70. Listen, I think he's a fine enough player. But is he worth $7+ million? You could maybe try to argue, well, in the market, no, I just don't see it. Lindholm is a guy that, if you have measure 1, it's fine enough, but you need to have a good 2. I think in the perfect spot, ideally, if you're like a cup contender, he's kind of a middle road 1, maybe a very good number 2 center, but the Bruins haven't got enough for Lindholm. That's not enough. For what you're paying him, you're not getting enough production. Hampus Lindholm, the other Lindholm, he got hurt. He's on IR. He was starting to kind of kick it into gear, but let's talk about Pavel Zacha. 19 games played, 3 goals, 4 assists for 7 points. Not good enough. Not good enough for a top 6 forward. He's having a horrific start. Trent Frederick, and I think Trent's more of a third liner, but you need more from him. He had 2 goals the other night. That kind of makes the point total look better. But 6 points in 18 games played. Final year of expiring deal. Oh, there's trade talks. People interested to get Frederick. Have him. He can't even fight. He's the Bruins' tough guy, and he loses pretty much all his fights against guys that can actually throw punches. And you know what? The Nikita Zadorov signing, to me, was just an overreaction for, oh man, we got bullied by Florida. Like, we need someone big and tough. Like, if you've watched Zadorov, and he's fine enough when he fills a bottom pairing, maybe in a second pairing role. But when you're relying on him to be a very good defenseman, in my opinion, I've always thought he's meh. He's meh. And you pay a meh defenseman $5 million for the next 6 years. How many stupid plays I've seen from Zadorov, stupid penalties, it gets frustrating to watch. The guy, it just the common sense isn't there. Just isn't. Now, Charlie Coyle. Disgusting. And not in a good way. 3 goals, 1 assist for 4 points in 19 games played. Charlie Coyle. What happened to him and Zacha? What happened? Did the Monstars suck all the way their talent? Like, is there going to be another, like, Space Jam, maybe ice hockey version? Like, what happened to Zacha and Coyle? Why can't Zacha hit the f***ing net? And why can't Coyle do anything? Honest to God question here. He's looked horrific. And you're hoping he can bounce back, but he's not looked good. Morgan Geekie, train wreck. You know, I could go on and on. I mean, the most promising part of this freaking roster has been the fourth line. That's been the promising part. And, you know, Matthew Patra, who I still think can be eventually a top 6 center, he's too young. It's too early. And he had 14 games played, 4 points. I mean, better point per game average than Charlie Coyle. Maybe we should send him down to Providence. But Matthew Patra, like some people, oh, that's a big deal sending him. Like, I understand it. He's too small. He needs to add some muscle. You know, he does. He needs to add a little bit more muscle, a little bit stronger on his skates. I think the talent's there. He just needs some more time. But this whole team has been underperforming. And Max Jones, they sent him down to Providence because he was horrific. The guy they signed for $1 million. Just not good. But now I want to go into the goaltending. Jeremy Swayman, you know, he made this big thing. Oh, my feelings were hurt. So many mean things were said last arbitration, and you can't stop a fucking beach ball. 13 games played, 5-6-2 record, a 3.35 goals against average, and 888 save percentage. Sub 900. Corpusalo, who actually I think in this early season has looked like better than Swayman, and I've said on this channel, I'm not high on Corpusalo. 3-2-1 record, 2.74 goals against average, and 901 save percentage. Not good enough. And you know, I will say this very, 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 very clearly. Because usually here on this channel, I try to be, you know, very level-headed, grounded, and I understand that. So if this isn't your cup of tea video, I understand. Whatever. But you're paying Jeremy Swayman this amount of money per year, a stupid amount of money per year, and he's dog shit. $8.25 million per year in the first year of an 8-year deal. It's one of the reasons why I thought the Bruins overspent a little bit. I understand why they made the deal. I mean, Ullmark got 8.25 for the Senators, so you're like, oh, well, both Swayman and Ullmark, same levels, all that stuff, but there's a difference. I did say this earlier, actually during that video. There is a difference between being in a tandem, where it's a 1A, 1B, and then just being the guy, where you're playing the lion's share of the games. There's a difference. And people that try to fool themselves to think that there wasn't, I don't know what to tell you, because we have seen this before. We have seen guys like really good in tandems. If you want to go a little bit further back, it was like Osgood and Manny Legacy. When Legacy was in a good little tandem with Osgood, good. But then when he had to try to be the number one himself, he sucked. And I'm hoping that's not the case with Swayman. I'm truly hoping that's not the case. But he's been awful. And yeah, the team around him hasn't been perfect. But there's been some goals that have gone in that I'm like, holy, like a squirt level, a peewee level goaltender could have made that stop. He looks awful right now. Corpusalo is the better goaltender. And that's not a good thing, because if the Bruins want to be a playoff team, Corpusalo, if he's your starter, to put it very bluntly, you're Like, unless Corpuscello just unlocks a magical season where he has like a 920 and just kills it. If it average Corpuscello season and he's your starter, you're not even going to be in a contention, especially in Atlantic Division. While some teams have struggled and kind of been back and forth out of the gate, I don't think the Bruins make the playoffs at this point with the performance I'm seeing on ice. Now, there's been rumors that they're, intensity in the building. They're going to try to get some trades. I'm like, well, who's out there can you get? You have, I think, 800 something, I believe, in cap space. So some type of contract would have to, be moved for that to make sense. Yeah, $803,000 in cap space. So somebody would have to move. I mean, personally, I say if you could, and you couldn't because he has a no moving clause, I'd say fire Charlie Coyle into the sun. Pavel Zacha, same problem with him. Morgan Geekie, he's a guy you can move, open up a little bit of space. Morgan Geekie, Trent Frederick. But who are you going to get in return? Who are you going to get in return for those level of players? You're not going to get much. You're not going to get some savior. Patrice Bergeron, David Krejci, you're not walking through that door. I understand there's transitions for teams. Like, they'll have these periods of greatness, and then they'll go through a rebuild. So I'm not even mad that they're not a great team. I'm mad at the lack of effort I see some nights, where it seems like they don't care. And then they get blown out, and they just give up. And then they have a lead, like against the St. Louis Blues, and then they lose in overtime. It's like, what are we doing? Just stupid hockey, dumb mistakes, and it is frustrating to watch. Is it the end of the world? No. I mean, I'll take the 2011 Stanley Cup championship and some of the cup runs after that, and some of the deep playoff runs, the great historic season where they ultimately got bounced by the Florida Panthers, and just be honest, embarrassed. I'll take it. It is what it is. The Bruins had a very good run for a long time. But right now, this team is very difficult to watch. And they're just so damn slow. They are. And I like guys like Brazeau, bigger body. I think perfect in a bottom six role. It's a really good story guy that was in the Coast. Comes up, kind of, struggling to make, keep his hockey career going, and kind of finds a nice spot here in Boston. But some nice stories, lines aside, outside of Pasternak and Marchand, like who's here offensively that you're like, oh my God, like any team would love to have that. I don't see it. Pavel Zacha can't bury a puck. Can't even make a pass right now. Lindholm, trash. And overpaid. Morgan Geekie, trash. Coyle, trash. Coyle had a career year last year, same with Zacha, but Coyle's playing like the third liner he actually is this season. Actually, even worse than that. Trent Frederick, for a top six, trash. Like, what are you expecting? Merkulov to come up and save the season? Fabian Lysell to figure out how to play a 200-foot game? Again, I'm hyper negative on this, and I apologize if I usually am not like this, but it's just embarrassing to see. Because if they lost and they weren't good, that's fine. But like when you see some of the nights where they're just not, it seems like they're phoning it in. It's maddening, and then the really dumb mistakes. It's maddening. It infuriates you. And then Jeremy Swayman of all goaltenders, I felt insulted. How dare they just not offer me all the money in the world? When I went to arbitration, they hurt my feelings. And for you to perform like this? Shut the fuck up. Really? This is how you perform? Now I'm hoping Swayman bounces back. But after all that belly-aching and crying like a bitch, and to start to play like this? Inexcusable. So, I'd like to know your thoughts down below in the comment section. What have you thought about the Bruins season thus far? What moves do you believe they should make? And do you believe they can turn this thing around? Do you believe they can trade for somebody? Let me know all your thoughts down below in the comments section. I appreciate if you drop a like, comment, and subscribe. It helps out the channel. I'll see you in the next one.